This presentation is on the policy and ethics in a public case study, depletion of the Ogallala Aquifer and its health effects. This is for MPH 5900 Emergent Issues in Public Health Policy and Ethics. Instructor is Dr. Krista Schumacher. I am Sharon Robbins, the presenter and the student. The World Health Organization 2023 stated that water is a human right, that humans have the right to sufficient, continuous, acceptable physical accessibility and affordable water for personal and domestic use. The federal government has a responsibility for groundwater quality, but not groundwater use. That follows underneath state water regulations and rules, and they oversee it. In the United States, as of 2015, 46% of the population uses groundwater. But of all of those, the greatest amount being used is for agriculture. And in our area, agriculture is a big user of our groundwater. And a big concern is that we don't overpump, we don't overuse. So let's begin. What is an aquifer? An aquifer is an underground layer of water-bearing permeable rock, sand, or silt. It is either confined or unconfined. The Ogallala Aquifer in our area is unconfined in the fact that it does not have a clay area that is, or an impermeable area between it and the surface. So you can drill a well without having too much problems. Potable water versus non-potable water. Potable water is, of course, drinking water and water that you can use for domestic use, for personal hygiene. Non-potable is not safe water for ingestion, for food source. Aquifer recharge is where surface water filters down through the ground and goes and recharges the water. Unfortunately, right now, I think we are pumping out far too much than we can recharge. Aquifers are depleting all over the United States. Currently, our High Plains Aquifer is on one of those lists. So the New York Times reported that there is an overpumping of groundwater, that aquifers throughout the United States have water levels that are falling. There's really no national data that shows us terrifically how fast the aquifers are falling, only that they are. There's really no attention to the reduction of water by cities and companies, industry, agriculture out there. I mean, the federal, of course, looks at the quality and the state looks over the quantity, but Oklahoma does not seem to be doing that. Because of the lack of federal oversight, the states are on their own, and that doesn't always give them a lot of power. Even though you would think it would, it does not. They don't have federal backing, so in order to establish the rules and regulations for their state, they have to enforce it themselves, and Oklahoma only has one agency to do that, and that is the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. So let's talk about the Ogallala Aquifer, the facts. There is a northern, a central, and a southern region. There is 174,000 square miles of aquifer underneath the land. It's 1,000 feet deep in some areas. And since 1940, there's been over 200,000 irrigation wells created that are pumping out of this aquifer. The problem with our current policy, as I've stated, the Oklahoma Water Resources Board is our only agency that oversees this. Let's start back with the water and water rights of Oklahoma. The rules are, if you can afford it, you can have it. If you have land over groundwater, the groundwater is yours to pump first. Of course, in an aquifer, with the way it flows depends on who gets the water first and not. There are insufficient and inadequate regulations in Oklahoma over water pumping, overuse, waste. The Oklahoma Water Resources Board issues all the water permits, and if you overuse, it's only $250 each time. So that's not much of an incentive for someone not to overuse water when they're trying to water their crops. So really, it's important that we become aware of who needs what, what's going on, and what waste is. The Ogallala Aquifer is being depleted. It is of the highest depletion rate in the United States other than down in the southeast. It has excessive pumping. It has dropped by greater than 100 feet to half saturation thickness in some areas. That is of an alarm. The High Plains groundwater depletion, the greatest, of course, is 83% through irrigation. Oklahoma is not using as much as Nebraska. Nebraska is using the most, then Texas, then Kansas. But we flow down, and in that, we have to be concerned. It comes from here and it goes down here. So Nebraska using it takes up water, and then Kansas and Colorado, and then Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Texas gets it. So that is of great concern. Lack of precipitation and groundwater overuse causes drought. This is a current U.S. drought monitor, and it shows that the great precipitation this year has been really good for us, but there's still drought all the way through this part that has our aquifer, especially in this area. There needs to be an address on how much overwater use is, because we may not get this much precipitation again in quite some time. So drought is a big concern for everyone, for farmers, for people, for residents, but I am concerned about the health effects. So when it comes to a drought, water reduces its current capacity. So it reduces the potable amount. It reduces the not potable amount. And concentrations of pollutants then go greater, because where there is dilution for pollution, if there's no dilution, that concentrates. It also affects production of food, which can cause a lack of nutrition if there's not enough food. There's a reduction in crop production. There is an increase in crop infestation because the insects are looking for more water and food. It affects livestock health because they're going through drought. They don't have enough water. It doesn't help them at all. They're just like us. They have to have water to survive. And then there's the quality of the air. I mean, the dust particles in the air is really bad when the wind blows out here. There's cyanobacteria that have airborne toxins that comes off surface water. And as surface water concentrates, it evolves out into the air. And then sanitation hygiene. Water is needed for sanitation of waste. It's needed for personal hygiene, and lack of it does not help that. Also, health effects are recreational risk. If the water is low, no telling what you're going to run into. And the spread of diseases. If there's water scarcity, people won't wash their hands as much. Farmers may have to recycle irrigation water, and that's a bacterial harborage. It may increase the migration of animals to water sources, and that may actually exploit individual people coming in contact with animals and passes of diseases or attacks. And rainwater collection is a lot of what other people do, but if they don't use it in time, it becomes stagnant and becomes insect harborage and a disease multiplier. So let's look at a proposed policy for water. For conservation of water, okay, I propose that we have a coalition to support sustainable water management. And it can be done through social. Everyone has a right and affordability to adequate water. And it can be addressed through environmental, which is the production of biodiversity and ecosystems. We need to look at the economic implications. Water management is affordable, it's effective, it's economic for people to use. And institutional, do we have the resources to oversee water management? We need to build that kind of coalition to do so. And we need to look at our state legislator to support possibly coalitions in different districts maybe to help us provide this assistance to reduce our water waste. And communicate. Tell everyone. Inform them on what groundwater is, what the pumping rates are, what's going on, what may happen in the future. So let's look at a community coalition would be stakeholders, which is city and county governments, the residents of urban and of the city, the farmers and the ranchers in the urban areas, industry and municipalities. Support legislation, we could lobby for the protection of water supply, and we can seek to have the government enforce on waste of and pollution of water. I mean, overpumping, overuse, municipalities do it, we do it at home, farmers do it, everyone does it. We can't act like there's going to be water forever. There's not if we don't slow down. We need to communicate the problem, introduce new policy with a new coalition. Conservation, that's our number one goal. Conserve what we have for the future. We can use social media to educate on the aquifers, on conservation, on water protection, on the future goals that we have. We need to get beyond 2060 because there is a statement that if we keep pumping the way we are, the Ogallala Aquifer will run out of water in 2060. The ethical implications of this policy, non-malfeasance, do no harm. Protect the water, protect the community. We don't need drought-related health problems. Efficiency, we need to protect the resource we have. We don't need to waste. Justice, everyone has a right to water. Professionality, and everyone has the right to equal amounts of water. No one has the right to waste water. We all need it. We all have a right to affordable, efficient, safe drinking water. In summary, the Ogallala is reducing by overpumping. The policy we have now is not being enforced. It's not enough. OWRB is one agency. We're way out here in the Panhandle. Where are they? They're in the city. We need to do something here. A coalition in our community can make a difference. We can do education, communication, cooperations. We can come together as a team, as we need to do, to provide, protect, and produce a safe future. We need a lobby legislature. We need to have new policies for groundwater protection. No one person can do this alone. As it always says, it takes a village. It will take our community to make the difference. This is one of my reference pages. You can use the links here to find out more about this. And then this is the next link. All of these are my references. Take note, a lot of them, the USGS, which is the United States Geological Survey, has a ton of information about aquifers. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day.